nobility or the operatives. I'll come to the other aspects a little later, but ideally I must think that ethicality, morality, integrity, or the bench and the bar is a very important input if you want to make an ideal legal system for India. We cannot shy away from this onerous responsibility of having for ourselves ethicality, integrity, morality, and from which stems acceptability among the polity. This I would certainly rate as the first ideal of an ideal Indian legal system. I need not elaborate on that. The fundamentals of discharging this duty would involve hearing. You have to hear. You have to hear an opportunity, a reasonable opportunity for hearing. And here comes the role of the bar. Giving voice to the voiceless, giving speech to the mute is the burden of the bar. In the legal system, a sensitive bar has to be there. A compassionate bar has to be there. A socialist bar has to be there. Many people see red. I come from Kerala, and the moment I say socialist, people think differently. I believe Indian constitutional socialism is not a political ideology at all. If that were so, it would not have found its place into the preamble of the Constitution. Socialism, the constitutional socialism, I'm happy somebody said, Constitution is my Bible, it's my Gita, it's my Quran. So I cannot but be a socialist. You've got to be a socialist. Every functionary under the Constitution, let it be remembered very clearly, if you are to be true to your oaths on the Constitution, you have got to be a constitutional socialist. And the constitutional socialism is compassion for the weak, consideration for the underprivileged. If we do not have these values, I suppose we cannot have a constitutional governance. The Indian legal system would fail if commitment were not there to any one of the four pillars spoken to under the preamble to the Constitution. A bar has to be sensitive. A bar has to be understanding of the deprived, the underprivileged, the less fortunate. The opportunity for hearing would become meaningless if you do not have a compassionate bar which is able to espouse the cause of the underprivileged and put it across to the decision makers. Affording the opportunity for hearing. I'm afraid the bar has to look into itself. When I say bar, please do not think that I'm making a distinction between the bench and the bar. I believe my constituency is the bar. I'm basically, I'm from the bar. I'm called upon to serve a term of deputation on the bench. I finish my deputation, I return to the bar. So whenever I say anything critical about the bar, please do not feel that it's being a bench-bar conflict which I'm trying to air. The profession as a whole, I refer to when I say the bar must have the sensitivity. You can't have judges of high quality if the bar does not have that quality. So the role of the bench and the bar when I speak of, is essentially the qualities of the bar which must be there, from which stem up the judges. A reasoned decision, the third ingredient, the ethicality, integrity, acceptability, the morality of the system, the opportunity for hearing and people to make audible the cause of the others, a reasoned decision. Every decision must be borne out by a reason, must be supported by a reason, and as Shakespeare said, must give way to another, give way to a better one, and therefore reasoned decision. Well, an ideal legal system, in addition to all this, must also have the element of promptitude. Even the child in India repeats the adage, justice delayed is justice buried, justice denied. Therefore, the promptitude of the decision is also important. Any ideal legal system that we can think of for India must be able to have this element of promptitude in decision. Next is the other one which I would like to emphasize. Inexpensiveness is an unavoidable attribute of the ideal Indian legal system. I've always wondered the morality of the court fee law. If justice is my birthright, why should I pay court fee for justice? Well, too early an idea to spread. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions thrown at me in return. But if justice is the birthright of the Indian citizen, if that's the constitutional promise, except perhaps in certain areas of commercial law, I will be justified in asking you the question, why at all the court fee? I remember when I started my practice as a young lawyer, a client came to my senior. It was the date for trial. The client instructed the senior and was about to go off. We told him, please pay the fee for the senior. Then he said, I am absolutely innocent. Why should I pay? Well, the lawyers, I can see that laughter coming forth, but this question disturbs me right through. His question is most relevant. A system of law, an ideal legal system, where justice has to be purchased, I'm talking about the very legitimate purchase, which has to be purchased, must disturb you. At least philosophically, it must trouble you. Payment of court fee, payment of unaffordable lawyer's fee, how do you expect justice to be delivered? An ideal Indian legal system cannot evidently depend upon the ability of the person to pay. If that is so, your socialist concept of justice vanishes. I do not know how we are going to translate this, but I am certain that the legal profession has to change its yardsticks. The touchstones, the indicia will have to be changed. How do you assess performance of a lawyer? I say we call it digital. You know, everything is digital. You're the digital clock, you're the digital this. Lawyer's profession has also become digital. Success in the lawyer's profession is measured by the digits of the number of digits in the fee that a lawyer charges. It's time that the law community changes its concept. I was a direct recruitee district judge, session judge, and went over to the bench. I did not have to face that ordeal. But many of the others who have come via the bar would see, you have a pro forma to be filled up when you become a judge. And one of the entries is, what is the income tax that you have paid? What is the income that you have earned for the last 10 years? I did not find one question in that questionnaire which asked me, how many pro bono litigations have you conducted? I did not see one question in that questionnaire which asked me, how many public interest litigations have you taken up? Well, it's time we introspect and ask ourselves, is the bank balance, the income tax that is paid, going to be the criteria for the ideal Indian legal system, lawyer and the judge? It's time we think about it. We are not already